Today is the 31st of May, 2022. Thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel and go to my website, www.ladydorybell.com, as well as the same as www.susanbling.com. For those of you who have watched and listened for a while, I decided to flip it up just a bitch because I can. Because I'm that bitch. You know, born in the year of the dog. Biological female, that's how that goes. So, if you're going to leave a comment, make sure to have etiquette and respect and share the links to my official YouTube channel. You can go to my website, www.susanbling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com to verify you're going to the correct location. So, I have done some modeling here and there, mainly as the name of Lady Dory Bell as my model name, though because of the way things go, I've always introduced myself as Susan or Susan Bling because of the aspects of. I haven't ever hidden that in those particular references. Now, I don't know whether or not the various photographers remember that, though that is as it is. So, there are a few performances that I have done as well. Not many. I mean, I've sang the national anthem more often than I've actually performed anywhere. And so I happen to enjoy belly dancing or just dancing in general. I have gone to a few drum circles and I don't really consider that as performance. It's for me in that regards. I don't really view, or I shouldn't say view, I don't really think about my particular style of belly dancing being a performance because it's very spiritual to me. So I do have 5 Native American tribes, as I was informed, though there's the natural aspects, and being half Chinese, there are certain factors that are just natural, I would guess, maybe, I don't know. For myself it is. I can't speak for other people in that reference. And so it is as it is. Nonetheless, for those who remember the year of 2010, now yes, this is the year of 2022. I know this, obviously. And whatever year this is watched as well in the future in those references. So in this particular reference in the year of 2010, I had contacted Lilith Gray in regards as to an event that was being held in October of 2010. And I asked if it would be possible for me to perform. I also was going to be performing at the Uniform Fetish Ball in regards to the swing dance or swing big band version of the Star Spangled Banner. And so while it may look in one capacity, it's more burlesque than anything else, I guess is the term from what I have come to understand in comparison to what would be considered as a stripper or even an exotic dancer, I suppose. So it was more burlesque-ish, I don't know. It was just dancing. I just enjoyed it. It was fun, ish, you know, I picked a song, I created the choreography, I created my outfits to go the way they did, I did my own makeup and all that sort of stuff. And there was a guy in the DFW area, I think he was a colonel, and he had said, "Oh, you're like a one-woman show." And it's like, well, irony, I like Eminem, and I don't know whether or not he came out with that album yet, and yet, irony, and irony of ironies, there's 2 E's in his name, and an M, and an I, and an N. So the irony is his name's kind of missing an L. which I spelled, now that I realize it, and then the second in regards of myself, which is an irony when thinking about, I am this dork. This is the dork that I actually am. Though it is an irony. So, I quoted him at one point in time on FetLife. Here's my 10 cents, but 2 cents are free, because I thought it would be funny regarding what I was dealing with at the time. So it was one of those, yeah, you know what? Kind of seemed apropos at the time. So there was the situation as to the, I believe it was October in 2010. And I had asked if they needed, or could, if I could do a belly dance situation. And Lilith Gray had said, yeah, and she wanted to have, for that particular time slot, she had wanted to have a total of 3 different ones because of what she was doing in regards of with the others within the group. Oh, okay, that's fine. So she had said that Dusty Dawn could, as per the name at the time, could be one of the in-between as far as costume aspects for her. And while I could do 2 performances, that would give me the time to change from one outfit to another outfit. So I believe I started out with red, and then I went to blue with silver, if I remember correctly, to the, which is an irony, I guess, in other references completely. Nonetheless, so I had been told to contact Dusty Dawn and ask her about the song situation. Dusty Dawn had told me to pick out any song whatsoever. She had all sorts of experience, so on and so forth, and it was one of those, it seemed odd to actually do that in comparison to her just doing her own song choice. However, because she had told me after speaking with Lilith Gray, because I was living in the Austin area at the time, it seemed odd for me to pick out the song. All right, fine. It seemed lazy to me in regards of her choice in that reference, though, okay, fine. She had said she had done some belly dancing at drum circles, and I know that everybody dances differently at drum circles. She had said she took some classes, which I don't know what that translated to, so it was as it was. Okay, fine. So I informed her as far as what I was going to do, what I needed to take care of, and she had whatever going on in her life at that time, and it was very fine. It is as it is. I really don't have the inclination to really get into it. I was really excited because someone I had personally wanted to play with in scene aspects, since I met her, I'll say, from the time of having met her, was those who remember Paige. And so I was all excited, and I was more, it's not that I wasn't paying attention to what I actually needed to do at all. I obviously was, though I was really excited when it came to that because it wasn't my job to actually make sure, and I did make attempts to actually get her that detail. She didn't really care. Her response was, it doesn't matter the length of time, it doesn't matter the artist to her, it doesn't matter anything. And so it was okay. In some ways it was almost, if you've watched RuPaul and how, during the room area when everyone's making their clothing and stuff like that, as far as while they're piecing everything together before it becomes the completed piece for that particular situation. Do you think that you want to do it yourself? Do you response was, no, it didn't matter. Okay, that's fine. Do not blame me, because it will come out as far as that's concerned. And so I do find it irony about the 50 Shades of Grey as a different capacity, mainly because of Lilith Grey, as far as that's concerned. And so, but it is as it is. As far as certain other situations, I don't know if anybody would know in that comparison. I don't know how that would be in that reference of. However, it is as it is. Nonetheless, there also was all that stuff that occurred in the lifestyle during that time frame, and that was a whole other ball of wax to deal with because it was kind of during that time in 2010 through 2012, it almost seemed similar to the song, which is an irony because I don't particularly like this type of music. However, because at camp one year we did this, whatever, I can do anything better than you. No, you can't. Yes, I can. That's what it really seemed as in regards of the lifestyle. And I just didn't want to have any part of that. I just kind of, oh, you're going to do that? I'm going to go over here. Yeah, I'm going to not be a part of that because I don't want to be a part of that. Yeah, no, you can do that. I'm going to go over here and hide because I don't, not really hide, but more along the lines of I don't want to, I growed up a long time ago and I know how that goes. I don't have time for that sort of stuff. I don't have patience for that sort of stuff. You can either work together or you can do that, and if you do that, I don't have patience for that. I have more important things to deal with at that point in time. So I had started out in the red outfit because of the way the finale was going to be is with the wings, as far as belly dancing and stuff like that. So I was informed the stage was going to look one way, then it went the way it did, and I adapted as best as I could. And so it went the way it did. I wasn't particularly happy with my own performances. I don't know what other people thought of my performances. I also wasn't told. So that's how that went. And so it was as it was. Nonetheless, just kind of did my own thing. Just was as it was, and then afterwards got to go play and was all excited. Except for when it got cut short in comparison because of other stuff regarding PETA and Philip. In comparison, I didn't even get warmed up. I will get you later. I will. I just, you don't know. I had, in reference to those who know, and I would guesstimate nobody really knew that of anybody that in the entire areas, whether DFW or Austin or San Antonio, any area, who my particular was, that would be Paige. That would have been Paige. That was the, sort of. So I was very upset because PETA had, been the way she had been, and then I had to go and take care of other stuff, and then Philip and all that. And so, for those who remember, I changed into my gladiatrix outfit, and so that was that at that time. And so I kind of figured, well, I did some belly dancing a little bit in between of working on some other stuff in various situations. And so thinking about a few things as far as Sapphire, and having actually met someone named Dusty, I don't know if there was any needless drama stirred up in the DFW area, because it was known that I was in the Austin area. And so anybody in the year of 2010 to 2011 and 2012 that would know, as far as the lifestyle aspects during that time frame, you know, it was as it was. I personally didn't have the patience or the time really to deal with any of that. I was kind of busy. You know, in 2010, I was making attempts to figure out how to assist regarding the poofy fish situation. And I had thought that if I could get my scuba dive gear to a secure location, which would be the Navy and Marine Special Warfare Unit, specifically at JBSA on Fort Sam Houston, because it was moved from, so for those who know where Medical Hold Unit was, off of Stanley, the street that the same building is on as Broadway Bank, if you went down a little bit further, it was to the left. And so that particular location as to before working at ISR, and that because one of the things that commander, the brigade commander before the switch out to the new brigade commander had figured out was it was kind of an all-encompassing thing in regards to what I could assist with. So even though, and for those who know military aspects, it's at the needs of the Army. Especially with any branch, it doesn't matter what the branch is, though that's how it is. And so because of how the after effects of my head injury were as they were, the situations in regards to what I could pick up on, and that brigade commander had also, well, yeah, there was the fact of Captain Cupcake issues, but nonetheless, additional to that, he had noticed and found out my head injury was on Palm Sunday in 2000, and had been capable to go look into those factors. And my background, he had asked me about MAST. I hadn't really spoken with many of the guys in Medical Hold Unit about MAST. I don't remember telling Captain Morney about MAST either. I may have, but I don't really remember it. And so he had actually asked me about MAST. And then shortly afterwards, I was sent over to the Navy and Marine Special Warfare Unit, and the XO and CO had a whole bunch of questions as far as that was concerned, and I made attempts to explain quite a few situations, such as informing them the truth, because that's all I knew. And so then it was realized that I was, or am, extremely multifaceted. And with the capacities of what I had been around, and yes, there was the CID investigation at the time regarding Austin and Brackenridge, there were quite a few other situations that were realized by several commanding officers. And so not enlisted per se, some of the enlisted had noticed it, but it was mainly the commanding officers that had noticed it. And so I was sent to ISR after a while, and then after I assisted with what I assisted with, then I went to the general and plastic surgery area, and just was as it was while I was arguing with my neurologist that no, I could totally go back to basic training, so what? So what, my head hurts, so what? Who cares that my head hurts? How else am I gonna save the world? Common sense. Which then I I was asked, what did I read, what movies did I watch, and it's like, well, I grew up watching Disney, mainly, and so then it was like, oh, you think this, and it's like, no, believe me, I have other memories to Disney, other than movies. I mean, I'm not gonna, I'll retract that. You can figure out whether or not you can believe me. Though I promise, Disney, I'm sure there are those who actually, and so, no, that's cool that other people have had fun. And then there was the handbell choir trip. And so, you have no idea. It was horrible. It was for other people, my biological mother had fun. And then, it was great when I got to go on Space Mountain. It was awesome. It was great. It's the best part of the entire trip, mainly because I didn't have to deal with certain situations, such as my biological mother and my biological sister. Okay, fine. Mike really didn't have anything to say, so that was kind of He had no idea how bad it was, so it was kind of like And because I didn't want to talk about it, because it was just like, I was still there, and because of certain other situations. So while going around Disney to all these areas, people had spoken with me and asked me about the wheelchair situation in regards of my biological mother. And I had been infuriated because the gallbladder surgery that she was trying to use at that time had been months before. She had fully healed from it. It was one of those, it was an annoyance to me. And I explained to these different people who I have no idea who they were, How frightening is that when you think about it? Nonetheless, it was just one of those, I didn't understand why she was allowed to use a wheelchair just because she didn't want to walk around. That was an annoyance to me. And knowing that, especially because I was at Asher Holmes Elementary School, and so there were a few people that had actually needed wheelchairs in comparison, so seeing the hypocrisy from my biological mother while she was a deacon, and we were literally on a church trip to Disney, I couldn't deal with it. It was just so bleh, for lack of better words. And this is before we had ever gone to It's a Small World. Just when we had checked into the park and she had said she was going to get a wheelchair, I had asked why. And she had explained it, and I just, why? That doesn't make any sense. The surgery was an, situation, and so a bunch of people had asked me about it throughout the time frame at the park. And it was just, her surgery was this many months ago, this happened this way, so on and so forth. And by the time of the Space Mountain trip, it was just, I don't want to talk about anything. I don't want to go over it because it doesn't really matter anyway at that point in time, because I knew what would happen. If I had told Mike at that point in time, that would translate to I wouldn't have gotten to go on Space Mountain, because he would have been angry, and then he would have gone to speak with Anna and Patricia, and then they would have, Anna would have cried, Patricia would have cried, and then I wouldn't have been capable to go on Space Mountain. So my math because the whole trip at that time was only in reference to either whatever Patricia picked and or It's a Small World. I was going to go on Space Mountain. I was gonna have my ride. I didn't care. I knew that I wasn't gonna have to go on It's a Small World after that. As long as I got to go on Space Mountain. And in my defense, anybody who's been to Disney and or worked at Disney or works, just saying, I was stubborn. I might still be a smidgen stubborn, but I got to ride on Space Mountain. And that is not a euphemism for Irving 2011 at all. Nonetheless, that is a bit of an irony. Nonetheless, so what was great was while Anna and Patricia had to stay outside, they were complaining about the heat because Space Mountain's inside. Yeah. All Anna and Patricia knew was it was a roller coaster. And I was like, I don't care. Go on Space Mountain. Go on Space Mountain. Yeah. And so while inside, I didn't care how long the line was either. It was great. It was just awesome. Air conditioning. Yes. And it was in honesty, so that made it, even better for me. So it was like, yeah. And benefit of benefits. Didn't have to listen to Patricia complain, nor did I have to listen to my biological mother complain at all. It was, yeah. Internally, it was just, yes. Yeah, this is awesome. And so, ironically, most likely, Mike didn't have anything to say because he had been doing the handbell choir stuff, so literally ringing in the ears. So at that time, it was just, and the irony, me being born and raised in New Jersey and all that, and the business aspect of whatever. And so it's like, silence is awesome. Greatness. Cool. I don't have to hear It's a Small World. I can hear the of the, which was like music to me, literally, because of techno stuff. And so, I can make a joke in that reference. Well, I don't know if Eminem knows about me, but nobody listens to techno. But hi, I'm Susan. Also known as Lady Dory Bell. Nonetheless. So, it took, I think it took 2.5 hours to go through the line, and it's like, this is awesome. Air conditioning, and no, It's a Small World music. Awesome, double benefits. Woo! Internal high five. And so while all these other children were doing whatever they were doing and their parents were doing whatever they were doing, I'm just standing there and I'm just like, And so there was a point when Mike looked around and I'm just standing there quietly, this is great. This is gonna be awesome. No actual words, it's just thoughts and stuff. He looks down at me and he's like, Why aren't you talking? I don't have anything to say. I will later. Currently, not that point in time. And so the rest of the whatever, so he had made a comment, you're not jumping around the way all of the other whatevers are doing. Yep. That was it. And he looked and he's like, so are you excited to even? Yeah. Oh, I am excited. But I have a lot I'm thinking about currently, so. And since it was known how I was as a child, it was like, oh, well, that's fine. You can, whatever. That's fine. I don't have to hear shit. And that's pretty much, what it was. If you feel like talking, not right now. No. So at that point it was, no, I don't feel like talking. No. I want. Because I knew what would happen as soon as I started talking. Well, then I wouldn't have gotten to ride on Space Mountain. So I wanted to ride on Space Mountain. It's the only ride I got to ride on. So, I wanted to go on Space Mountain. It's gonna be mine. I claimed it. I didn't just claim it. It's mine. It's mine. I could make the joke if I could have been as a dog and it's mine. Instead, it was just, you are mine because I said you're mine. Because it's my ride. What is the song? As a reference, the DMX. This is it's mine. It's mine. Finally get to do something I want to do. And so, we got to the front of the line and just went in the seats and it was, this is great. I literally could have done this, put my feet up, and just, this is the best ride ever. This is so awesome. Because in comparison, it's like, yes, this is so relaxing. This is awesome. So while everybody else was, I was like, yeah. Internally, I was like, yeah. So it's an awesome trip. Yes, it is. In comparison to, it's like 7 days, 6 nights. Minimum of 3 times a day. It's a small world. So, and here's the only reason why. Only because Mike was the only, and so when Mike didn't have to practice because the handbell choir thing had went, so then the next day it was okay, we'll go whatever. Oh, all of a sudden it was, oh, Susan, what? Yes, irony, Cinderella and the evil stepsister, whatever. Oh, well, what do you want to do this day? I want to go on Space Mountain, and instantly they both cringe. No! Why do you want to go on Space Mountain? Blah blah blah. Because I was honest. Because you won't go on it. You won't go on it. I could ride that all day long for like, that's fine. I'm perfectly fine with like that. And so my biological sister was upset. I don't want to ride on that. It's whatever. It's such a stupid ride. I don't care. That makes it all the better. Makes it so much better that you don't like it. That's awesome. That's fine. And then, as far as, and then Anna was like, well, we can't do that, because and then she brought up because she wouldn't get on the ride because of the wheelchair. Yeah, I don't have to spend time with you, yay. So excited, but I'm gonna be calm, I'm gonna be cool, I'm gonna be chill, because I'm gonna get some air conditioning in comparison to the only time I'm getting air conditioning. And it's a small world. Gonna be on the other ride now. So Patricia had brought up, oh yeah, well then fine. Before you get to go on Space Mountain, she wanted to go to the haunted house. So this is how this went. This day when it came to Mike, right? So the road, the It's a Small World broke down 2 times. One, without Mike there. Second time, with Mike there. So, first time, just Anna singing over it. It's enough with just the whatevers. And then there's for those with that. So anyway, as far as that's concerned, she got really upset because I had the nerve to not enjoy her singing. And it was one of those, and I don't care. At all. I'm glad that you don't like the songs I do, mainly because that translates to you not liking the songs I like. So real quick, in the year, I think it was 2004 or 2005, I was driving my Ford Windstar and she started singing Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy. And anybody who's heard her sing knows that it's the second soprano, first soprano, it doesn't matter as far as the sort of thing, and it's like, And so when it was over, the next song on the radio was Yin Yang Twins. I was like, yes, yes. And so she tried. So she tried to inform me she didn't like the music. As though I would care. And so what she did was she rolled the windows down and went like this. And had her hands over her ears with her head out the window. It was great, and so then when she did that, well then I rolled my window down because of the pressure, obviously, and so then I turned the radio up because the windows were down and I needed to hear the music better. It was at so I think that radio went up to a 40, okay? And so the volume was on 5, okay? It's on 5 out of 40, okay? She opened the window. Anybody who's been in a car knows how that goes. All right, that's fine. Get low, get low, get low, get low. To the window, to the wall. We light up a cigarette, goes, yes. The whole time she's like this, and it was fantastic. So that day, Small World ride broke down. And so while Mike got all upset, which then there's, then there's Space Mountain for that additional aspect of silence where it was like, yeah, that's cool. Because, where he only heard that one time for however long that ride had been broken down. There was a time before in the week, and then every other time that we went on that ride. And so it was just, so, you know, whenever that was done, so then my biological sister's like, oh, let's go to, she wanted to go to the haunted house. And so we went to the haunted house ride and that situation. Then we went back to It's a Small World, which is just an irony right now. and then we went over to Space Mountain, and it was fantastic because Mike only had to hear Anna sing 2 times. I mean, granted, okay, he was married to her, so, but he didn't have to deal with the It's a Small World and that more than twice. Just saying. After that, why did I really get into Snoop Dogg? Why did I really get into Biggie? Why did I get into Ice Cube? Why did I get into Ice-T? Why did I get into NWA? Why? What about that would be like, you know what? She hates that? Awesome. I don't have to, wait, so Patricia can't do what? Awesome, because she only knows how to do what? Awesome. She won't ever be able to, awesome! Touchdown! Yay! And since I like all sorts of music, it's like, yes, and because of the different types of, I mean, all of those rappers, they have very different flows and different beats. So it's one of those, you know, that's right. And then there's the spitting battles and all that sort of stuff on top of that. And it's like, yes, then you got Lil' Kim, then you got Queen Latifah and all that. So, you know, that, you know, situation. There's a few others that I was it Foxy Brown, that's the other one. I really like Foxy Brown. Nonetheless, just was as it was, that sort of situation. So why, you know, for those who understand. Nonetheless, it was as it was. It's great to not have to listen to Fantasia, you know. Just saying, as far as that's concerned, it just is as it is. So then, after the second time of It's a Small World, then it was Space Mountain time. It was, yay! Not only do I not have to be near them, there's quiet and air conditioning. Yes, that's it. Awesome. Simple things for simple minds. So realistically, the whole time on Space Mountain, which I also didn't know was the longest ride at the time. So I was like, yes, I could just lean back. And then there's the irony, lean back. I'm just gonna have fun with this particular official YouTube video of mine. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos. If you're gonna leave a comment, make sure to have etiquette and respect, and go to my website, www.ladydorybell.com, which is the same as www.susanmealing.com. Go and look through my journal blog, The Ornery PSA. Go and see what I've been working on for a while. And that includes my books as well as my artwork. So, in reference to Dusty Dawn and that. So, I have no idea if there was any issues that had transpired after that. I also haven't been in the performance scene long at all. It really wasn't something I really had gotten into. It was one of those, well, you know, I deal with headaches and migraines, so I could only do so much. And then what it took to recover after the performances, because I was taking care of everything myself at the time, Um, well, that was its own situation, plus everything I was dealing with at the time and the reasons of, and so I was doing everything I could because of my concern about scuba diving. And so was as it was at that point in time, and because I needed to make sure that I could take my gear in the correct capacities in comparison to that U-Haul situation. Was as it was as far as that was concerned. Nonetheless, if I had been capable to, there is the FetLife posting about, I was really happy because yes, I had my picture albums as far as that was concerned, comparison for the time that it was. And so I had made attempts to get them digitalized so that way I could actually have all of them, but the way the situations went during that time frame in 2013 into 2014, all those factors as far as the apartment complex and everything else as to how I had wound up there is just one thing after the other in comparison to what would have actually been best for me at the times of. And so it went as it had. And it all happened after the Halloween event in regards to Portland, Oregon. And so, that was a problem as far as that was concerned. And so it went the way it did after that. And so dealt with things as I dealt with and did the best that I could. So that's pretty much that. I know that after the performance in regards of Uniform Fetish Ball, I dealt with a few things in regards of, I didn't know that Lilith Gray was in the performance group, so then there was that situation as far as how that had went. Regarding some of the females that were in the group where I had said, oh, well, it looked really good because it reminded me kind of similar to the Pussycat Dolls. I like the Pussycat Doll band. And it almost looked as though it was the doll-emanation or something like that. And as far as some of the stuff, I was like, well, that's really, it's cool. And so the other females were like, it's like, gave a genuine compliment? Okay. I can't, so, it almost, the situations, I knew some of the stuff from New Jersey because of those particular factors, and my biological father had a say. You could either be right or you could be dead right. And since I didn't want to deal with quite a few of the factors, those situations went the way they had regarding those individuals. And so when it came to some of the stuff in the year of 2010, then into 2011 and 2012, some of the performance individuals, and that's including modeling as well as a few other situations. It was, I don't know what was going on at the time. So that is as it is regarding those factors. So I just I was already dealing with what I was dealing with at the time, and I didn't want to deal with any of that stuff. The situations, the way things were going, just, I don't know, I had these weird energetic sensations where it was like, in my defense, I also was dealing, so in 2012, and especially, I was, even in the year of 2011. So if you look at my modeling during the years of 2009 into 2010, well, there was a lot of stuff, including the performances. And then there was 2011 in regards of my performance in what was it, Pervs in Toyland aspect. And after that performance, with everything that was going on, I was driving from Irving, Texas, out to Little Rock, Arkansas, and back, while doing what I could for my son at the same time, so that way he could have time with some of his friends, because I knew that, you know, I could only do so much for him as a mom. Not that it didn't matter, of course it mattered a lot, though I knew that he needed to have friends in that regard. So I did what I could there and took care of the driving. And in comparison to driving from Austin, Texas to Little Rock and back, you know, obviously there was a lesser amount of time driving. And so it was as it was, and dealt with a few things during those trips, no differently in reference to some aspects as to my Medal of Honor art project trips. My book, The Modern Day Book, in my book section on my website, www.susanmealing.com. It's the same as www.ladydorybell.com. I dealt with a lot of situations. And so then, additionally, in the year of 2011, then there was Irving, and multiple times. So I don't know if there were sighting reports in the year of 2011 at all in the area. So I dealt with what I dealt with as far as that was concerned. And then there was also the fact that it was just, well, by that point in time, it was almost 2 years from my scuba dive at the Vandenberg. So then there was that. It was before then, regarding that particular situation, among a few others. It's just a few. And so with everything else that was also going on at the time frame, I just didn't have the patience to deal with it because of how much that I was dealing with at that point in time. And I didn't bring it up in discussions, which is an irony regarding Space Mountain. That's an irony in its own right. Nonetheless, there wasn't anybody in my life, in person, face to face in person, that I could discuss anything with. I didn't have that luxury. So I had already made attempts in, I went to, I don't even know how many neurology and psychology appointments, because it was one of those, maybe I am just overreacting, maybe. And instead, this psychologist that I went to, at several points and several times of various psychologists, I had gotten to a point where I was like, so do you actually have any suggestions? Because I have, at whatever point I realized what length of time, and the responses from each one was, well, no. Excuse you? And each one of them had acknowledged, well, no, don't actually know what to recommend, though I talked with some of my colleagues and all of them have said, they've known people with some of these situations, not all of them, which pissed me off. Because my response was, then why didn't you tell me that there wasn't any worth to you as a profession? And her response was, well, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Why would you waste my time? Why would you waste my money knowing what I'm dealing with? I don't have patience. I was infuriated. I didn't ever want to have anything to do with any type of psychologist after that. It was the biggest viewpoint of a pseudoscience, wishing that they could ever actually do anything that would actually be worthwhile in comparison. I didn't see any point or value to them in any capacity of. I thought it was more important to actually get ways to fix and repair situations, and those individuals seem to just want to sit around and, you know, an in-person, face-to-face version of a television show in comparison to anything that would ever be of any value or worth. The least, and most specifically since it was my appointments to me, as far as the worth, because there was nothing that was of any value or worth to me regarding those individuals, as many appointments as there were. It was such an annoyance that was at the level it was. I couldn't believe that insurance companies actually would assist these people or those types to ever actually progress forward as far as an employment. The amount of fluffy bunny garbage crap, in my opinion, that came from that where, okay, there's the situations in reference to my daughter, will actually assist in comparison to being worthless. Because in my opinion, that's all that was. Realistically, the situations as to what they were doing, it just didn't make any sense. So then with all the other stuff that I was dealing with, it was one of those, I don't want to have anything to do with this sort of stuff at all. Those types are just not of any value to me at all whatsoever. They might feel they have worth, well, that's what they might feel. In comparison to what I see and what I know and what I understand and what I comprehend. Because when they haven't fixed and repaired their own stuff or even made an attempt to actually fixing and repairing, it's similar to how my niece, Marissa Marie Lopez, had decided to go into psychology, and there was no reason. Because it was one of those, the reality as to those particular factors, I didn't and still don't have any need for that, because there wasn't ever any appreciation. There wasn't one point in time where she even said thank you in regards to anything. Her own mother complained as far as other things. I didn't ever want to have anything to do with my ex-in-laws in that capacity at all. There wasn't any value in regards to, and Grandpa Nichols warned them, do not overstep any boundaries, because that is a debt you will pay as far as that's concerned. And so the problems that came afterwards, it was one of those, I didn't have any patience for that. I was doing what I could in reference to not just the situation as to the poofy fish, which I didn't discuss with any of them because it wasn't any of their business. And so it was one of those, went to go handle situations, and of course, because of such needless types, those types, in my opinion, you can go to my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, on my website, www.ladydoribelle.com, the same as www.susanmeeling.com, as far as those particular factors. And so those situations, while they may have felt, in comparison to my opinion of, with my rightful viewpoint, those factors of the needless problems that were stirred up throughout the various areas, I didn't want that, I didn't need that, I didn't desire that, and I don't prefer that at all because of those types and that just type. So that's my opinion. I would purposefully walk away from all of them to not have to deal with that. Well, I guess I've proven that, because there hasn't ever been a point in time where any point in time, there's not one point in time where anything that only Grandpa Nichols had ever said thank you. Even as far as every aspect of. So each time I brought food, he said thank you to me and how he appreciated it. So there's not one time in regards of they're the biggest leeches of them all. And when you take in consideration how they feel that they're entitled when they're not at all, the constant types of those versions of Democrats. Because those versions of Democrats, they have that crumb situation in comparison to actually doing something that would require work as far as that's concerned. So in comparison to my scuba diving, which was not luxurious, you know, I know that some people might think otherwise. However, that's their opinions. And again, where it's just not of importance for me to discuss. Unlike some people, when the situations went the way they did as far as my scuba dive gear, unlike what some people might think, I didn't have a need to discuss it unless I had a need to discuss it. Which translates to there's only certain individuals that in person, face-to-face, in person, would ever be where I personally would have that sensation. Otherwise, I personally just don't have the need to because of my childhood, because of my teenage years, because of my biological adult years. So while others may have whatever opinions they might have as to why I didn't discuss it, well, I've already gone over that in prior official YouTube videos of mine, as well as my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, on my website, www.susanmeeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com, which please do make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel and like my official YouTube videos and verify the source because I didn't ever give them any permission whatsoever. There is the blue ID card problem regarding those types. As far as my ex-sister-in-law, I don't care that I didn't get the legal divorce. It doesn't change the fact I wouldn't have ever given my blue ID card to my ex-sister-in-law. I didn't know her. I didn't know her husband. I didn't know her daughters. As far as that was concerned, that was the first time I ever met those people. I wouldn't ever have trusted those people in any capacity because of that time frame. And while some people might wish to claim in regards of the after effects of my head injury, I, once again, had made attempts to explain over and over again. It is one of those, at what point in time do people actually pay attention correctly to fix and repair the situations correctly in comparison to letting any of that needlessly go on further? Because to me, that is needless. I don't care what other people think in those particular references because it's my life, my choice in those factors. And while some people in the possibility of might think that it would be important, well, it's not important to me. And that's kind of the important factor regarding those situations. So while some people, as far as my scuba diving, well, yeah, that's important to me. However, because of the length of time, that requires the correct recognition in comparison to the similar aspects to the way my biological mother, biological father, biological sister, and ex-in-laws have been. That's kind of the situation. You know, most people who have actually accomplished something worthwhile, usually they are invited certain locations and informed ahead of time. It's called etiquette in those references in comparison to those other types of situations. And so while other people might think that I didn't pay attention or maybe thought whatever, well then is that ADA violations in those particular references? Because I wouldn't have ever, in those regards, Obviously, that's why I haven't discussed it. I haven't had the need to, mainly because I know what I dealt with. And so if others have wanted to know, well, then they can have etiquette and respect and actually ask, utilizing their words audibly in person, face-to-face in person, with etiquette and respect, in comparison to as I authored regarding my journal blog, the Ornery PSA, in that hypothetical regarding the update time frame of the year 2019. Because how artificial of their own intelligence would that be? Thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos, go to my website www.ladydorybell.com, which is the same as www.susanmuling.com. Make sure that if you leave any comments to have etiquette and respect. And so, today is the 31st of May, 2022. And so I wonder if in that hypothetical, there's any aspects as to the modern day book that would be capable to take into consideration. Just think, today is the 31st of May, 2022. There are literally 6 days until the 6th of June, 2022. And on the 14th of June, 2022 is a full moon. You guys have a great day. (31 May 2022).